So let's now speak about the viscerocranium. The viscerocranium consists of the maxilla, zygomatic bone, mandible, and the palatine bone, sorry, and the vomer. So make it look more, vomer, and the nasal bone. Let's start speaking about zygomatic bone. The topography of the zygomatics, as we see, it is the articulations between the zygomatic and temporal bone. It's called the zygomatic temporal process. And the green one, it's called zygomatic frontal process, which make the articulations with the frontal bone. And this is the body of the zygomatic bone. This one is the border, temporal border line. And this one is the orbital border. And these foramen, it's called zygomatic facial foramen. Well, the nerve, it will pass through this foramen. And this is zygomatic from inside. It has a foramen. It's called zygomatic temporal foramen. Zygomatic temporal foramen. So this one, a quick revisions about the zygomatic. Let's take a look about the maxilla. So let's speak about the maxilla. The maxilla, it has the body, it has the infraorbital canals and foramen. It has the articulations, zygomatic process, which articulations with the zygomatic bone. And in this one is the frontal process, canine fossa, decisive fossa, and canine eminence. As we see, the maxillary body, where the sinus is located within the body, and it has also that hard plate, and from the lower we call this one alveolar process, where is articulation with the teeth, and this one is called alveolar canals. So this is about the maxilla. Let's start speaking about now the mandible. The mandible, as we see, it has the body and it has the ramus. In these two areas, in the upper part, we call it condyle, where the articulations with the mandibular fossa and the temporal bone. And this one's called crinoid process, where the attachment with the temporalis muscles. And in this area, we call it dental alveoli and alveolar portion. This is the obsequious line, and this is the anterior border of the ramus. Mandible, anterior border of the ramus. These two area, we call it mental tubercle. And this foramen we call mental foramen. In this area between the mental tubercle, mandibular groove. Mandibular groove. Mandibular groove. Inside that we will see the sublingual fossa and the body of the mandible, and submandibular fossa, sublingual fossa, submandibular fossa. And in this area we call genial tubercle. We will see the red line. We will see a red line in the ramus of the mandible, and it's called the mandibular groove. This area we call mandibular foramen. Beside the mandibular foramen, we call this area mandible lingula. From this side, we will see this one is posterior border of the ramus. We said it once. And this one, anterior border of the ramus. Okay. In this area, we call it the angle, where the attachment with the medial pterygoid, and in the beside the angle we call the inferior border of the ramus. So the ramus, when we say about the border, we have that upper border is mandibular notch. Okay. Beside the angle, we call this one is the inferior border. So this one is called the anterior border, and this one is the posterior border, and this one is the inferior border, and over here it will be the mandibular notch. Mandibular notch. So this is about the mandible. The last two bone, it will be the palatine. Move some bones because the palatine, it will be a little bit difficult to see. So this one is maxilla, and let's take a look. Right. This one also called, okay. This one is called the palatine bone. Okay. This is the palatine bone. This one is the hard plate, and this is the palatine bone. And its articulations with the sphenoid. But let's see the topography of the palatine very well. This one will be the orbital process, and this one will call it the sphenoid process, which make the articulation with the sphenoid. This area we call perpendicular plate, which make the articulation with the maxilla and sphenoid bone. And this one will be pyramidal process. This is maxillary process, and it will be very close and lower and the back part of the opening maxillary sinus. Posterior nasal spine and palatine horizontal plate, articulation with the maxilla and the ulna. A palatine is a little bit confused, but let's make it very quick. This one is going to be the orbital process, and this, the green line, the green color is going to be the perpendicular plate, which articulation with the maxilla and sphenoid. The black one, the black color, it's pyramidal process, make the articulation maxilla. In this area, we're gonna call it posterior that nasal spine. Let's make the attachment with the muscles. Later we will see these muscles. And this is horizontal plate, which make the articulation with the maxilla. This one concha crest of the inferior nasal, articulation with the inferior nasal concha. And maxillary process and palatine sphenoid process with articulation with the sphenoid bone. This is about palatine. Let's again back to the bone and see the last part of the bone. The last part will be the vomer, and it doesn't have a lot of things in the vomer, but this is the body. It's make the articulation with the maxilla and palatine bone, and also the ali of the vomer. It will make the articulation with the sphenoid. So this is one is called the vomer, and the vomer, as we see, it's make the articulations with the maxilla, and it's make at the same time make the articulations with the palatines and the sphenoid bone. Thank you guys for watching my first lessons about the skull. Please comment below, make sure to subscribe and share with your friend, and we'll see you next time.